Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. And of course, this is Matt Chat. We have an announcement for this episode.
Yeah, this is kind of like the last one you're going to see on
there's
a weekly basis.
Some good news and there's some bad news. Which do you guys want first?
So the status of Matt Chat's kind of been in flux for, I don't know, the last couple of months. And it just come to the point now where it seems like it's better to give it a go on a monthly basis rather than weekly. Here's like I still enjoy the video questions. I still want participation from the friendos out there. This is a very important part of what we do. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are. So and week in and week out, they offer up some good debate topics, good questions, interesting topics conversation. And I don't want to lose any of that. So it's not the end of Matt Chat. We're just doing something different with it. This is all a process, and if anybody, regular Matt Chat participants, really anybody, has an idea on how we can improve the show, by all means.
Oh, don't start asking them for ideas. We're gonna get like a list of 20 from Wayne alone, and he hasn't been a Matt Chatter in God knows how long.
Yeah, I know. We'll read it. They'll disregard whatever Wayne says, but like everybody else, we'll consider it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So this isn't the end. We're making some changes. It's a constantly evolving landscape here on YouTube and stuff. We need to adjust with whatever changes they make as we figure them out. And right now, it seems like kind of shorter form content is the way to go on YouTube. So that's going to be a heavier focus. We're not getting rid of the podcast. Don't worry about that. We're not getting rid of it.
No. Look, here's the deal. Matt Chat, like we could be spending this time focusing on some shorter form content, which we have a couple ideas for. I mean, we've done 10 for the win. I would like to get back to like some version of that while we're on this pandemic quarantine thing. So, and this is Matt Chat is just one of those things where we do it every week. And yeah, we do like it. I actually really enjoy watching the video questions. Like you just said, I'll echo your sentiments. I enjoy giving a face to the Friendoverse. I think it's fantastic. And we're still going to do that just once a month instead of once a week. And so it'll free us up a little bit of time every week to focus on, be it promotion of the show or the shorter form content that you're talking about. So that's a deal. Still a great deal. Still great. Hey, look, having your video question on a very popular pro wrestling show channel, YouTube, is still worth $20 a month easily.
I mean, you get other stuff with your $20 a month, so it's not like this is the lone reward. So,
and you get all the bonus content.
Well, I mean, there's like all the comic book, all the other stuff. That alone is worth more than $20.
Yeah, for sure.
This is just kind of like gravy.
Yeah, or it's like, I mean, I'm not going to tell them what it's. Anyway, what's the first question here?
Yeah, I feel like the more we talk, the worse off we're doing here. So let's start. We're going to do things different today on Matt Chat. We're going to start with a text question. Usually we have those towards the end.
Interesting.
Just going to do a complete mix-up here. Luis Ariza, he kicks us off with this question: what other stories would you like to see covered on Dark Side of the Ring? Now, this season, they've gone into a lot of the stories from the kind of the underbelly of the wrestling world. So, Steve, what would you like to see?
This is easy, man. So it'd be difficult to do because from what I understand, there probably aren't very many surviving firsthand witnesses to this kind of stuff. But exactly how wrestling became fake, from what I understand, has to do with the Goldust trio of
Tootsmond.
Yes.
Ed
Stringer Lewis. And I always forget the other guy.
Same.
So I'm not even sure how dark side it necessarily is. I understand there was a match that went down in like 1925 when they brought in a guy and they thought he was going to be an easy mark to beat, and then he ended up shooting on the match and he won
Billy
the title.
Sandow.
Billy Sandow. There you go. And he ended up absconding with the title, and they were like, "Listen, we need to start making this fake." I want that story. Listen, say what you will about Jim Cornette. He's one of the better things about these Dark Side shows. I believe that if I didn't know about how weird he is with Twitter, I wouldn't think that he's like kind of a crazy guy. I'd be like, wow, this guy is actually really cool. I'd love to know more about what he has to do. He is a absolute, treasure trove of historical information. Like interview guys like him, interview guys like Meltzer, interview guys like, whomever else, about the old timey days of wrestling. And I'm sure there are plenty of like weird, messed up, dark stories about the transition from sort of a legitimate thing to, more entertainment focused.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to see. That's the only you have two good answers though.
Steroid trial.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think that'd be fascinating to get into the nuts and bolts of all that. Is something secondly that we covered briefly in one of the 10 for the wins we've done since we relaunched it as a wrestling focused top 10. The murder of Ricky Dozen.
Yeah.
There was rumors, speculation that his death may have come about because he shot in the ring in a professional wrestling match on, sorry if I forget his first name, but Kimura.
Yeah, right.
The well-known martial artist who was, well established in Japan. Eventually, they had like a super match booked between Ricky Dozen and Kimura, and Ricky Dozen took it upon himself for whatever reason to legitimately knock him out during the course of the match, and then subsequently Ricky Dozen, some time passed, was in a nightclub and died. From a stabbing,
a pea-stained knife.
Pea-soaked knife, yeah. So to get into that story, what has been reported since then is unsubstantiated rumor versus what facts are there to back up any of that. Who knows? That would be really interesting because Ricky Dozen is one of the great figures in professional wrestling history, and just to learn more about that would be really fascinating.
I agree. Absolutely. Next up, we got a question from the Philly Flexer about wrestling and its various characters. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey guys, your boy Philly Flex out here on my lunch break, and I'm just thinking to myself, why isn't there more characters like Drew McIntyre? I don't know. Drew just kind of comes off, it's an extension of itself, like they always say you have to be, and I feel like Kevin Owens is like that, but not too many other people, to me, just seem like just that's who they are or whatnot. And so, I don't know, should more wrestlers just be like that, where it's just extension of themselves, not a character, not a gimmick like that or anything like that? Like, I feel like Drew is perfect how he is, and don't get me wrong, like, I like a person like Luchasaurus, but how long am I going to care about a person like Luchasaurus? I don't know. Tell me what you guys think.
Thank you, Philly Flexer.
Thank you, Philly Flexer. Larson, you go first.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
I think people are more relatable. They're truer to themselves. They can feel more comfortable in their own skin when at least they could channel some aspect of their own personality in their performance and maybe turn it up a bit. I think it's the more the wrestlers and talents who are more believable, who come across as more genuine. That's generally the case, not always the case, but I think that's when wrestling character work works best, is when it's grounded into something real and it's just an extension of their own personality. Let's say they can't be gimmick wrestlers. There's a place for variety in professional wrestling. If you have everybody who's just an extension of themselves, you're going to have a potentially a pretty narrow palette of characters with which to tell stories. So you need those over-the-top characters. You need characters like The Undertaker to balance Stone Cold. You need more over-the-top personalities to balance the ones that are more grounded. That's fine. But I just personally feel like the ones who are grounded in reality, ground that particular wrestler's personality, those are the ones that resonate with me more. And maybe that's one of the reasons like I really enjoy All Elite, is by and large, they're all fairly grounded characters. You got Luchasaurus, but even that's all kind of tongue-in-cheek. By and large in AEW, everybody's just a dude or a woman. There's not a whole lot of over-the-top characters there. And I think that's part of the appeal. They're just people, and they're telling stories just as people. There's no supernatural beings. There's just a dinosaur, maybe, and that's it.
I think a wide variety works as long as the creative fits it. I think that, I agree with most of what you're saying. But like you said, if everybody's just themselves but turned up to 11, you're just going to have a bunch of like normal people, and who really wants that? I think that AEW actually has a pretty decent mix. Like if you look at it, like look at the Dark Order, there's like 20 people in that faction, and none of them are just people turned up to 11. But then on the other side of things, you do have like, you got the Elite. They're all just versions of themselves turned up to 11.
You got Mox. Most of the Inner Circle are just versions of themselves.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They're all, save for the Dark Order Luchasaurus, it seems like by and large, a vast majority of the wrestlers in AEW across the board are
the people that they brought
reality.
in. Yeah, the people they brought in, like from like the indie scene specifically, like Orange Cassidy got over because he has a very specific gimmick. Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, Marco Stunt. I mean, Marco Stunt is himself, but he's tiny, so like that's not really a gimmick. He's just a really small guy with lots of personality. You got like the Luchador guys too. You got a Phoenix. So you've got like they've got a really good mix, but they all the thing that I think works so well in AEW is that they really have done a good job of relying on the wrestlers to understand what works best for them
and who their characters are. Yeah,
if they come in with a gimmick, then they're understanding and they got that gimmick over. They're like, okay, well, this worked on a smaller scale. Let's see see if it'll work on a larger scale. So like, regardless of what the ratio of like people, like just sort of normal people versus gimmicks, it's all just what works best. And so that's why I don't necessarily think there should be like there shouldn't be like a hard rule.
Oh, absolutely not. No,
you come in and we're just gonna make you a normal person.
Absolutely not.
I actually think that WWE doesn't have enough gimmicks. It's just they don't have a great track record with gimmicks. For every Fiend, there's like 20 awful gimmicks, historically speaking, going back a ways.
Yeah. And I feel like
days,
there's exceptions. I think Drew has done a really good job of separating himself as a really grounded character, which is an extension of himself. But far too often, if you're in WWE and you're a babyface, you're a smiling babyface, and you're not given opportunities or whatever the case is to offer up a whole lot of dimension onto that character. Usually, if you're a heel, that's where you get to actually show some dimension to character. Drew, that's different. They're apparently, and I'm happy, they're letting Drew just be Drew.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to get him over. Is that you can tell, all right, he's a face, but he's just not gonna stand around and smile and be content to not be aggressive.
This is the problem. This is the problem with the majority. You're absolutely right, but it's not necessarily they're standing around smiling that makes them not interesting. It's that for some reason, babyface in the WWE means pushover. Yeah, and it's like they're people that are just fine being taken advantage of, being cheated on in the ring. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to cross a certain line. I'm not going to do a certain thing. And it's like, that's just not realistic.
I know.
Like, there are pushovers in life, and generally pushovers don't really get very far. So they generally wouldn't get to the WWE.
Like on the
and nobody wants to see a pushover.
I know. And on the contract signing on Raw, my favorite part was just probably when Drew, in the middle of a sentence from Seth, grabs his head, rams it to the table.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
He wasn't standing around. He wasn't being passive. He wasn't being a pushover. He was being aggressive. And that's what people want to see. People want to ultimately, whether you're face or heel, people want to see wrestlers do cool things.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
And I feel like Drew is well suited to just do cool things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's going to get over because of it.
Yeah. I think the bigger risk, having a gimmick is like higher risk, higher reward, because like the gimmicks that really pay off. If you're just yourself, then you have to be an interesting person.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, me turned up to 11. Now I have to be really entertaining. Whereas a gimmick can sometimes write itself. Sometimes it can't. Sometimes it fails horribly and you're just a laughingstock. And then you run the risk of being, Isaac Yankem for the rest of your life. Now, luckily with Kane, they were able to figure out how to make that gimmick work really well. And then they were able to play with it down the line. And now he's like Mayor Glenn Jacobs or Kane. And you accept whatever they're bringing him out as these days whenever he shows up.
Yeah.
So it's always been a fascinating debate, though, to have about gimmick versus person,
Yeah. Next, got another text question from Chris Carlin. He asks, of all the recently released talent for WWE, who do you think is most likely to make the biggest impression in AEW or New Japan? Steve, go ahead.
I'm going to say in AEW, EC3 and Drake Maverick as a team, I think just by virtue of the fact that we didn't get to see anything of EC3 on the main roster, and obviously he wasn't even in NXT that long, I think the fact that he is extra motivated, he has been doing nothing for so long, the freedom that hopefully they'll give him without the restrictions of like weird, shady business practices that he had maybe in Impact, and even he still did some really cool stuff in Impact. I think that he is going to blow people away in AEW, especially with him and Drake. I think they're going to be, if not the most entertaining act in AEW, one of the most entertaining acts in AEW. And then also in the women's division there, I'm really looking forward to seeing Deonna Purrazzo, assuming she goes there. Yeah. If that happens. I think she's an absolutely terrific wrestler. I watched a little bit of that interview with Sean Ross Sapp recently, and she's just thoroughly charming. If we can see some of her personality maybe turned up to 11, I think that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be really cool. Over there in New Japan, I really hope that Gallows and Anderson go to AEW, but I'll let you talk about them in your entry.
All right.
So that's like my tag team. In New Japan, there's one name I want to see there and one name alone, and that's Lio Rush. That's the only person out of everybody who's been released that I want to see there because, man, I think that he could absolutely just have mind-blowing matches with their junior division. I really hope he spends some time in New Japan.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. In AEW, Rusev, Machka, Miro. I want to see Miro in AEW. He's had a knack for getting himself over several times at WWE, just being himself. And I want to see, given the opportunity where he has the freedom to just be himself in AEW, how he can get over. I want to see if there's more to him as a wrestler, too, in AEW. So I'm really curious to see. I think, based on name value, popularity, I think Rusev going to AEW would be a massive get for them. As far as New Japan, I want to see the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, go back to New Japan because I think I like Jay White. I like Kenta. Bullet Club's not what it used to be. And I think if you bring them back, to join Tama Tonga. Sorry, Bad Boy Tama Tonga.
Bad Boy Tama Tonga.
Bad Luck Fale. Machine Gun Carl Anderson. Maybe we'll actually hear the Bullet Club theme again if they show up.
Man, why is it dude? Bullet Club is basically like WWE. They've stripped everything fun away from wrestling. Bullet Club has stripped everything fun from Bullet Club.
I know. That's what I'm hoping. Bring the Good Brothers back. Maybe Bullet Club will be fun again. That's my hope. And they had arguably the best years of their career in New Japan. And yeah, I mean, that's not to say I wouldn't want to see them in AEW. They could swing one of those deals where they can wrestle wherever they want to. But the tag division in New Japan is not that great. I think they would obviously elevate that. They'd elevate Bullet Club. I think that'd be pretty awesome to see them back in Bullet Club, wrecking things and winning those tag titles.
I agree.
Next, got another video question. This one from Matt Field.
Hey, Steve Larson, the British barman Matt Field, back with another match chat question. With Vince showing a lot of love for Triple H on Friday's SmackDown, with that long rambly end of the show, plus all the times he seems to show everyone else in the industry love, wishing them happy birthdays, but when it comes to Shane, he doesn't seem to show that sort of same love when it's his own son. Why do you feel that is? Do you feel that they haven't got a close relationship? We'd love to hear thoughts. Also, support wrestling. Screw the coronavirus. Too good. Howdy handshake.
Thank you, Matt Field.
Vince is a weird dude.
Yeah, he's an oddball.
He's an interesting, complex character. I can't say exactly why. Maybe it's an in-joke in the family at this point, why Vince goes on and on praising people on their birthdays while Shane just gets a sentence. A very simple happy birthday, Shane McMahon. I would hesitate to say I don't know their true dynamic behind the scenes. I don't know what I'm not gonna try to psychoanalyze Vince based on whatever we've seen on television between the two of them. He alluded to some lockbox when Shane came back. We never found out what that was.
Yeah,
what was in the lockbox? Regardless of that, I just don't know. It's I don't know the true dynamic between them. I don't know if it was some sort of tough love thing where Vince was trying to toughen up Shane mentally in preparation for kind of grooming him to have a prominent role in WWE. I just don't know. I just don't know. So it's hard to speculate. I just think Vince is kind of an interesting individual, and that plays out in a variety of ways, and their relationship is probably just an aspect of that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with all that. I mean, all we can do is speculate, you know. I would think that maybe it's become a running joke between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that as a possibility.
Yeah.
That Vince, showers people with love on Twitter, publicly, and then, obviously doesn't with Shane as a gag, because Vince is known as among many other things, as a comedian. So I could see that being a joke. I mean, we've seen pictures of Vince hugging Shane after particularly brutal matches. I forget which one it was.
I think it was Hell in a Cell against The Undertaker.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, I could see that as being a thing. I could also see it being completely like a Succession thing with Kendall and Logan. So I could see it being any number of things, but again, it's all speculation at this point. And it honestly, it's probably such a weird. They're probably. It's funny because they're probably very normal in many ways, and just beyond weird in many others.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Next up, Christopher Rappersad has a question about WWE 2K22, because it's never too early to start talking about a game that's going to come out in about 18 months.
Hello, Stephen Larson. So I learned that we are not getting another WWE 2K game probably in the next 2 years. So my question is, who would you want on the front cover? Who should be the DLC? What improvements do you want to be better in the game that they messed up in 2K20 that I did not buy because I was disappointed and it turned me off by the front cover? I didn't like the front cover and I didn't get the game. And look, the game was crap. Saved me a bunch of money. What do you guys think?
Thank you, Christopher. Go ahead.
Thank you, Christopher. So my choice would be Drew McIntyre. That's an easy one because I think that he's going to have a really long, really fun, really interesting reign with the title. Hopefully crowds come back at some point and we'll be able to see him interact as champion with the crowd. And then Asuka, obviously she's the best thing maybe in the history of professional wrestling. And I think she would be killer on a cover. She deserves it. She deserves all the titles. You know what I noticed, man?
What?
Watching Raw this past week, watching Asuka, Shayna, and Nia Jax all have that non-triple threat match.
Yeah.
While it was happening, I was thinking to myself, you know what I just realized? Nothing against the horsewomen. It was kind of nice not having Becky or Charlotte or Bayley or Sasha involved in this particular match with three, potential or previous main eventers.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nice to see that women's championship being fought over by people that aren't in the Four Horsewomen. It was kind of neat seeing them because they all bring unique strengths to the table.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So often the WWE Four Horsewomen have dominated the creative and the respective women's division. It's nice to have a story that exists outside of. I mean, heck, it was on Raw. It was that match, and it was Liv and Ruby Riott, a story they've dedicated a lot of time into developing, which is great. So yeah, no, I agree with that, 100%. On the cover, give me Undisputed Era.
Oh wow, okay.
So if they're taking time to freshen up the next game, they want to make it hip, they want to make it cool. Who's cooler than the Undisputed Era? I'd say Undisputed Era or New Day. Those are the two options I would go with.
Yeah.
As far as pre-order DLC, CM Punk makes his return to WWE games.
That's
heck, you can even have him on like the deluxe edition cover. Make him a pre-order bonus character. You're going to move units then.
By that time, he will WWE will have bought Ring of Honor, so they could do a showcase mode.
Maybe. And then the one thing I want more than anything is custom cutscenes. They have story mode. We saw the last game. They're not very good. They could take the same graphic fidelity, which is essentially like glorified, remastered PlayStation 2 graphics, and just let you do what you want with them.
Mm-hmm.
Custom dialogue. Give us a few animations you could do to set up scenes and stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think they used to have. I know they used to have custom stories where you can create them and then upload them to the servers. I think that'd be terrific. That would be so much fun. That would add literally so much more playability when it's like, we have so many creative people in the Friendoverse, creating all these great characters. Now let's see what they can do with the story. I think that'd be so much fun.
Yep.
That's good content right there.
That is good content. Next text question from Jacksonville's
number 1.
Guion Halili says, his question's about wrestling couples. Is it better when couples aren't acknowledged on TV like Seth and Becky? One is a bad guy, one is top face. Or should they be handled like Candice and Johnny, who are both heels? Hope this question makes sense. Thank you, Guion. It depends on the story. It works with... initially, I didn't like Candice's involvement in the Gargano Ciampa thing. I was never really that into. But now that they're both heel, it's a different dynamic. I'm willing to give it a try. The stuff with Seth and Becky was like totally cringy. They shoehorned Becky to a situation which did not fit her character, and so she had to go out there, show like an appropriate level of affection for Seth while not completely destroying the what the man was all about. So it really just depends on the story. It depends on the couple. Ideally, you don't really mention it that much, if at all. There is that spell, I believe, after Daniel Bryan won the world title at WrestleMania 30, where they started having Brie come out with them, and I was like, no, don't do that. By and large, I don't want to see wrestlers' personal lives intersect with what we see on TV. But if there's a good story to be told and everybody's on board with it and invested in it, and something interesting could come of it, then sure, why not? But by and large,
Here's the thing, man. One thing I don't like, or one thing that I think, look, I could care less about kayfabe necessarily, but if you have, let's give an example for a real life couple we know right now, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega. Their characters are at odds with each other on screen right now. It would be strange, not strange. I would understand it because we all know they're performers. But if 2 months from now they, for whatever reason, acknowledge that they're husband and wife, then it's like, okay, well, what were you showing me before then? Like, there needs to be some amount of consistency with what I'm seeing on the television screen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, are they actors playing roles? Yes, they are. We know that. It's acknowledged. Well, then why would you then do the thing where, they're married in real life? Then you're just acknowledging that there's a real life on my TV. I don't like when they do that. If you're going to have it happen. When they do the thing when they start trying to break kayfabe as part of the story, sometimes it could be done right, and sometimes just like, come on, we've seen this, that, you know.
Like, I think it's more enjoyable that bit, was it 2 weeks ago, when Aleister was having the match against Austin Theory, and Zelina comes down the ramp and gives Aleister the business. Knowing that they're married makes that more enjoyable because it just makes it funnier.
Totally.
That bit was written into the show.
I agree. Now, something like Seth and Becky, I don't. The way they handle it was just really cringy. They don't have much on-screen chemistry, but like their characters had never really interacted in a way that would then, as a viewer, make me think, well, this isn't real. You know, it's breaking the story conventions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they never really interacted, so it's like entirely possible that off camera somewhere they'd hook up and then we'd see them as a couple, and it's like, oh, they're together, and it's like, yeah, you can make a thing about that because it's not like they were on opposing sides or whatever. Now, if they want to kayfabe Aleister Black and Zelina Vega into having a relationship and then being married, okay, cool, but don't just all of a sudden reveal to us, oh, by the way, they've been married through this whole thing. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that because kayfabe is busted, whatever. But you got to figure out what you're going to present as your reality and what you're not.
I feel like if you're going to present to us this created, self-contained world, keep it consistent. It'd be like if I was watching a movie where Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were in it, separate characters, not married, and in the course of the movie, there's like, hey, these two people are married. You're telling me to suspend my disbelief in this world you created, and then you bring real life into it. It's like there's a disconnect here.
They meet on a cruise of some sort, but then we find out they've been married the entire time. It's like, wait, hold on a second, we saw them meet. Yeah. It's like I don't care about breaking kayfabe. Somebody busts their leg. If Apollo Crews was seen jogging today, even though he's got like a knee injury, if he's seen jogging on social media, I don't care. That's breaking kayfabe. I don't care. But if he's seen jogging on Raw and he's still out of Money in the Bank, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly. It's just your internal logic of whatever you're trying to create has to be consistent. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Next, got a question from Rich.
Steve and Larson. Rich here with a Mad Chat question, and the question of the week is this. With everything with quarantine going on, give me 3 to 5 superstars, past, present, passed away, alive, dead, I don't care, that you would want to spend 48 hours with in quarantine. Doing whatever, drinking, partying, smoking, if that's your thing. I know it's Steve's. But just let me know. I figured I'm stuck in here with my little friendos.
Are you doing a match right there?
Yes, I am. There's Michaela.
Hi.
There's Chase. But it's been a while since they've appeared on Mad Chat, so... But again, just let me know. 3 to 5 stars, past, present, from any company at any given time. Yeah, see, now they want to be clowns and be in it.
Thank you, Rich.
I'm going to say current Twitch streamers. Okay, so Xavier Woods is too popular. So I wouldn't want to quarantine with him. I want to quarantine with the up-and-coming Twitch streamers.
All right.
I want Adam Cole with the Chugs. Drew Gulak with his silent Final Fantasy streams.
All right.
And I want Mia Yim, who features her adorable dog
I didn't know she was streaming on Twitch.
Yeah, she streams now. I think I put our channel to follow her.
Oh, cool.
And I think she had a Shelton Benjamin on her stream once.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So those are the 3 names that I can think of right now. But I guarantee you, this is just the beginning of it, man. Everybody, man, I forgot to mention this. I implore you, go check out Muscle Party.
Oh, yeah, I want to check that out. Yeah, I want to check that out.
Even if you just watch the first 10 minutes and the last 5 minutes, Brett is a fucking artistic genius. This was all done, except maybe he pre-filmed like the intro to it.
Yeah.
But it was like TV quality live, and he lit the couch on fire and sat down on it live to end his stream. And it was done to like music. They had like music playing, and it's honestly like one of the coolest things I've ever seen on Twitch. And I'm like literally proud to know this guy that he went out and did this. It was like such a great sort of not continuation, but moving on from the couch shop thing.
Yeah.
I just check out I mean, it's like a 3-hour long stream. I wouldn't expect you to sit there all 3 hours. He plays some Jackbox game, and it's really cool that he's doing that, but who has time for that? I don't have time for that. But what he's doing for that audience to pick up and do something that's new and fresh and interesting and something that literally nobody else is doing anything like this is really cool. So if you're into that, if you've ever been into Couch Shop or whatever, check out what Brett's doing in that same warehouse. And I was actually blown away by this, by what I saw.
Yeah, so, I didn't get a chance to watch it last night, but I saw some of the stills that were posted, and I was very much intrigued. So I plan on checking out. Brett's super smart dude, super creative.
Super creative, yeah.
I'm sure anything he's involved with is going to be really interesting. So I'm looking forward.
I'm looking for. I'm not saying that I wouldn't watch a 3-hour stream of his. It's just I didn't have 3 hours to spare last night.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with the final sequence that they put together. Like him just sitting on the couch and the couch is on fire. I was like, holy shit! And he did it live. He did it live, man. It was rad. I was freaking impressed.
New Day.
Mm-hmm.
48 Hours of the New Day seems like it'd be an absolute blast. If their podcast is a little window into their chemistry, you're just gonna be laughing the entire time.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. Oh, it's only 4. Okay, so the question is 48 hours. Yeah, 48 hours. That's only 2 days. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if it was like a 2-month thing, it'd be too much, man. Sometimes you just want quiet time.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think this is a situation where you're all in the same room for 48 hours. I think you're just in the same, accommodations for 48 hours. And that could be like a house. Everybody's got their own room. So you can go and play games, hang out, laugh. All right, I'm going to adjourn to my room, get some sleep, come back next morning, eat some breakfast together. Sounds like fun. Next, got a question from a debuting Matt Chatter. Spitfire Marcus Johnston. Let's see what he has to say.
What's going on, Steven Larson? This is Spitfire Marcus Johnson with my first ever Matt Chat. Been following y'all for a few years, but I want to know, what is one move that you wish could be sold as a finisher that hasn't been used as one in for so long? Whether it be a super kick or a backstabber or anything like that, or even just a good suplex like Mr. Perfect used to do. Give me your thoughts. Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you, Spitfire.
Thank you, Spitfire.
Pile driver. Pile driver should always be a finish.
Okay.
You're dropping stone on their head. That should be a finish.
I'm going to say this, but then I'm going to mix it up for you. I'm going to say power bomb because I've seen too many power bombs that aren't finishes.
Yeah, that should be a finish.
Now, let's use a move that's never been used as a finish to our knowledge.
All right.
As what should be a finish. Like a Canadian Destroyer has been used as a finisher before by Petey Williams. I don't know if this has ever been used as a finisher, but you would think that if somebody executes a top rope Spanish fly, that should probably be a finisher.
Yeah. Here's my answer. Danielson stomps. I don't know if Brian Danielson ever used that as a finish. I think he had that cattle mutilation submission. But you grab someone by their arms and stomping on their head.
Yeah.
Referee stoppage right there, man. If they can't defend themselves.
Here's the thing.
That should be a finish.
It's not that different. I know that the face is in a different position, like it's facing up towards your boot, but you're still stomping somebody's head into the ground.
Repeatedly.
But instead of Seth Rollins uses it, he does it one stomp and it's a finisher. Danielson stomps are like multiples. There's like many of them.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be like just the ultimate finish right there?
I mean, it seems like you have wrist control on both wrists of your opponent, stomping on their head. The only way they're getting out of that situation is if you let them, or the ref breaks it up. At which point you stomp that person's head 5, 6, 7, 8 times. You should be able to cover them, and that should be that.
You should get like a 10 count on a cover right there. Yeah,
I know. We'll conclude with 2 text questions. First, from Tim Morris. What impact do you think the coronavirus outbreak will have on New Japan's U.S. expansion? Will it be pushed back proportionally with the outbreak, lockdown, or even larger consequences? Steve, go ahead.
So I think that, yes, it's going to be proportional with the outbreak lockdown, but you got to add, I would think maybe around 6 to 12 months, depending on people wanting to. I think that that ending the lockdown and people showing up en masse to these big shows are 2 completely different things. I think that there's going to be a reluctance at first, a hesitancy for people to come and want to go to concerts or shows or even 1,000-person venues for these shows. And I think that will probably slow it down so that like when things are locked down, they're not just going to pick up and keep going. They'll probably pick up, maybe, I don't know, but people seem to be flocking to the beaches. So maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe they will be able to find, people going out to these shows. Maybe people try to get back to normal. I'm not going to go to any live shows for a while. But then people are different. Like the evidence seems to suggest that like, if you open up the beaches, they'll go. But being on the beach is a lot different than being inside.
Exactly. The beach, you're not in an enclosed space. It's different. I mean, you're still congregating potentially in large groups, but I mean, you're outdoors.
Yeah.
Not an enclosed space. So I guess that's different. We've seen New Japan operate with an abundance of caution.
Yeah, right.
With how they're dealing with this pandemic, with their own promotion. I see no reason why they wouldn't do that here, even if in the States that maybe ease off of the stay-at-home restrictions earlier. I honestly would be really surprised if New Japan really ran any shows here on a consistent basis until... I mean, I don't know if... I mean, I'm year and a half maybe. I think it's going to be a while. Because it's not just having the shows here. You're asking wrestlers to travel halfway around the globe. The traveling for those shows, especially for wrestlers who are based in Japan, is going to be a lot more intense than wrestlers who are based in the States. You're just asking a lot. And if the safety and well-being of the talent is first and foremost in New Japan's mind, which seems to be in the case based on how they've done things so far, I think they're going to wait quite a while. I think it's going to be a situation where we're going to get back to not just a new normal, but as close as we can get to the old normal before they would really consider doing that. That's just what my gut's telling me. But I could be wrong. Who knows? Next, and finally, question from the Enforcer, Stevie Bradley. He asks, who are the next 3 people that Apollo Crews should slap the taste out of their mouths? This is who they should be in order, because that means Apollo Crews is working his way up to the top of the card. First, Bob Lashley. They had that great pose-off segment. I feel like Apollo Crews now, several months later, should come out on the winning side of that. Bang, slaps Bob Lashley. Next, he gets in a feud with Seth Rollins, as we saw with Drew. Drew advised him to not talk ever. Shut his mouth forever. Apollo Crews follows up on that, and the best way he thinks to do that, bang, slap him in the face.
Slap.
And after he beats Seth Rollins in a prolonged feud, next, Brock Lesnar. You get in Brock's face, you slap him. Ooh. The crowd is going to love you.
But don't slap him too hard, because he might come for a receipt.
That's true. Did you watch that GIF that I watched? Someone posted that GIF of that where
I think I tagged you in it.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Yeah, I must have watched that 10 times.
Dude, over and over again, because
it was the little uppercut and then the bang.
Oh,
and
man,
Braun almost got knocked out. Anyways, slap Brock. That means you're top of the card on Raw. That means there's huge things next for you. So that's the next 3 people I want to see Apollo Crews slap.
Assuming he is actually out of Money in the Bank due to a fake injury, he needs to slap these 3 people: Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, and Triple H. The 3 guys who are heads of creative in WWE. Slap all 3 of them after he's been granted his release. After he signed the release on his paperwork.
Well, here's the thing.
That's crap.
It is crap unless they got something in mind for him. Because it's not, being in Money in the Bank's cool and it'll be a good platform for him. He wasn't going to win. If they got a story for him based on pulling him out of Money in the Bank that could lead to something, I know it's a major if, then let's wait and see how it plays out. Let's just wait and see.
The story is because Andrade's not in that match, is he? The Money in the Bank.
Nope.
Right. The story is Andrade's going to get in that match. That's the story. The story is Uhaa Nation needs to get his release. That's the story. I hope it is, dude. I hope it is. They have been featuring him a lot, but I don't know if it's hey, I'm available. I can put on long, really good matches. What are the other options, because there's no people here. I don't know if it's that.
I would like to think that, this seems like the situation is going to continue for a little bit. So if he's making himself available, and when he is available, delivering great performances, and this is how it's going to be for another couple months, they're going to have to use him more. And if they're going to use him, he's going to keep delivering. And if he's going to keep delivering, someone's going to be impressed. That's just kind of how it works, I feel like.
Yeah, but dude, once the crowds come back, once they have people back in the building, and the other wrestlers come back, then he's gonna fall. He has to. I mean, look, you want to take full advantage. You want to take the risk. You want to do all that. You want to try to impress people to the point. But man, they've been sleeping on that dude for how long now?
I know. This is his
and then they take him out of Money in the Bank.
Let's see if it leads to something else, man. That's all I'm saying. If it doesn't lead to anything else, then you're right.
I hope it does. Something else. Look, there's I would say there's like 45% of me thinks that it might lead to something else, but then like 65%
and
55%. Sorry,
you're right to be cautious and pessimistic.
Thinks that it's just they're just doing it to get Andrade in the match, which I love Andrade. I don't want to root against him, but I'm rooting for Apollo more than I'm rooting against Andrade.
There you go. That's it. That's what we got for this week. And again, we'll Matt Chat will be back. I'm thinking probably Money in the Bank ish, either the Wednesday before or the Wednesday after. Be back on a monthly basis, and we'll give adequate lead time to let you know when it's coming, when that particular month's episode is gonna be air and be prepped for, and so on and so forth.
Yourself even deeper in the hole.
No, again, thank you everybody who submitted questions. It's going to be a period of change. We'll find something that works best for everybody, it's sticking around in some form. Don't worry about that.
Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.